Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hello, Marvelous Moms. How are you guys doing today? I'm doing great, as always. I am joined by a really good friend, Michelle Gornichec. She is a sister-in-law of a friend who's become my friend as well, who I've really enjoyed. Our lives have been very parallel to each other. You have kids about the same age, same genders, and we have some very similar experiences to share with each other. We've had a fun little road with our crazy children.
Yep.
So welcome, Michelle. Thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. I looked at our past conversations. This was supposed to happen like beginning of January when I had barely launched the podcast. And then I finally checked back in with you and made it happen. But that was life, right? Things were just crazy the day we were supposed to do it. I think sick kids or something.
Yep.
That's part of it. That's
always.
what we're working around here. Everybody I talk to is a mom. So lots of crazy things come up and we just roll with it. We make it happen eventually.
Yep, we do.
So tell me about your kids, how old they are, their names.
Carter, my oldest, he's 6, going on like 15. Then Liam, my middle, he is 3. And then our spunky little angel, Elliot, is 1.
Okay. And when will she be 2? How far apart?
He will be 2 in May.
Okay. So they are just like a month apart, her and Felicity.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I remember coming to New Mexico when my husband was interviewing for a job and meeting up with you for dinner. And I was gigantic. I was 8 months pregnant. And you were like, I just found out I'm pregnant. Or did you even tell me then? I think you knew and you hadn't. I don't remember if you actually told me. But you were pregnant when I saw you. I might have asked you and you might have like shied away from it. I can't even remember now.
I might have. Yeah, depending when it was. I can't remember.
You might have said you were trying. Anyway, so that's cool. That's about the biggest gap in our children's age.
Yeah.
But we've been pregnant at the same time all 3 times, so that's cool.
I know, it's so weird.
Yeah, and we've reminisced a couple times. We've been on chat, and I don't even know how that comes about. If you post something or I do, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're feeling the same way.
Yes.
Those oldest kids, like you said, 6 going on 15, that's exactly how I feel with Connor.
Yes.
It's been a wild ride, a really big baptism by fire into parenthood, right?
Right? Oh, man. I know Luke and I always joke that it's a miracle we ever had any more kids after him because from day one, he's been nothing but a challenge. He's great, but he is a challenge.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Well, I feel like with Connor, he got nuts a month after I got pregnant with Parker. So I don't know if I would have kept going. It was like, oh, good, you're pregnant with another baby. Guess what? You're in for. Things are about to get nuts. I don't know. That's for some reason we just keep feeling the drive to bring more cute babies here. Thank goodness they are cute, right? That's probably why we do it. He is so cute. I just love him. So, with him, what would you say is like? Does it come immediately to your mind the funniest or craziest thing that he's ever done? That's just had you like jaw to the floor.
It's all the time. Because I have to remind myself that he's only 6 years old all the time because the things that he says, it just blows me away. Like a couple of weeks ago, he asked me if he could watch a show. And I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy. What do you want to watch? A documentary about Earth. What? How do you even know what a documentary is? You know?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, where did this kid come from?
He came from you. Apparently you guys are really smart.
He must get it from his dad. Definitely not me.
Stop it. You know that's not completely true.
But yeah, it's too funny.
Yeah, he's a smart kid. So one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on here is because I observed something and you're super, I know right now, like not wanting to own up to how cool this is, but you posted a video of Carter doing some flashcards. And what were the flashcards again? Because I remember asking you like, where do I get me some of this stuff?
Were they the flags?
I think they were the flags for countries or else he was naming like, does he know the capitals of the countries?
He does.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think that might have been what it was.
Yeah, I know. The kid, he just absorbs information when he's interested about something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always loved geography. And so he really got into flags from one of the books that, like an atlas, like a kid's atlas we bought him. And so he really got into that. And we found those flashcards. And yeah, they're really cool. So he knows, I think there's 195 cards and he knows every one of them.
Wow.
As well, I would say he probably knows like 90% of the capitals. There's a couple he still struggles on, but I mean, like he can just even tell you where the countries are. Like you'll
Wow.
randomly ask him, like, where's Malta? And he'll just pull it out of his mind. And I'm like, holy cow. Which is, I've never in my life been good at geography. I've always been terrible at it. So to me, like it blows my mind.
Wow. That is so, so cool. He needs to be on Ellen or something.
Yeah, he's a funny kid.
Wow. So do you feel like, how did you hone into that, or how did you start realizing that he was a little extra smart in that way? And how did you start realizing that those things that he could work on kind of helped with the crazy behavior?
He's just always been smart. Like he started learning the alphabet when he was around 18 months old.
Oh my gosh.
He could start like recognizing letters on shirts we were wearing, and he was always very interested in it. And so, we just started doing actually flashcards then.
Wow.
We've always done flashcards apparently. And I actually started doing homeschooling with him around that time too. I found this really great program that sends you like packets of all these cool ideas for homeschooling.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I was lucky enough where we lived that there was a group of moms that was doing a joy school. So he started preschool when he was like 2 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just always.
So you've had
it.
to like be sharp and on it. You couldn't just be like, oh, I'm glad you're smart, but go watch Sesame Street. You had to like, you had to nurture that growing brain and that curiosity.
Yes, always.
So I bet you've been learning a ton in the process. You're like, but am I retaining it? Oh, that's so funny. That's amazing though. It's cool to see how, because I've had people on here and they realize there's like problems early on in childhood and they have to know they're going to work really hard to that. And it's fun to see it even on that flip side. Like you're going to have to be on your A game because he's going to be curious and he's going to be learning at lightning speed and you have to keep things interesting. So do you are you homeschooling him right now still?
No, he goes to a public school.
Okay. How's that for you?
It's good. He really, really needed the social aspect of it. Because he was totally becoming like the weird kid. Which I mean, it happens. And so he really needed that just social interaction, which has been great. I mean, unfortunately, at his age, there's not a whole lot that they can do for, kids who are maybe, I don't know what like the PC term would be. Brighter?
Gifted?
I don't know. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that they can do.
Yeah.
The one good thing is the teacher he has now is very aware. And luckily his class is small enough, like there's 10 kids in his class or 11. And so she's able to do a little bit more one-on-one time with him. That's cool. Can give him like a couple, extra things to do during class for him, but, very limited. And so we try and do a lot at home. We have tons of books. I think I told you once, like we're always at Barnes & Noble.
Uh-huh.
My kids love it there. And so we're always buying like more activity books, and flashcards, obviously, and stuff like that. And so we're just trying to keep him engaged and keep him interested and keep him learning.
That's
best
so
we can.
Cool. Do you guys go to the library too, or is Barnes & Noble the place?
We don't go to the library a lot. My kids are very rough with their books, and so I'd rather just buy them.
That's smart.
So I don't have to worry about what's going to happen to it.
Yeah, and then you keep them on the bookshelf for the younger kids. That's the one fun thing about having somebody interested in reading as the older child, is those books are going to stay around, and then once you're done, they can go, or even save them for grandkids. I love certain books that my mom has still that my kids get to enjoy now, so keep that in mind too. Don't throw them all away.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And that was such a cool, when you told me that, when I said, where do I get these flashcards? I'm going to call you like the flashcard family now. It's a good little acronym. But yeah, I think it's cool that, and I actually, after that conversation, we went to Barnes & Noble and I was so overwhelmed because I was like, well, what should we do? Should we buy a science kit? Because it just made me more aware that I need to hone into what Connor's interested in, because a lot of times when you have these really busy kids, it's because their brains are just moving super fast and they need stimulation and they need to keep learning. So with him, he's really technical, really, I think he's going to do something with engineering, or I don't know. He loves to know how things work. That's his curiosity. And so I went there and I was like, I don't know, maybe I should just do this on Pinterest. And then we know that's going to be a complete failure. So we're still working on it, still figuring out what totally lights him up. And but it's that was really inspiring to me to think, like, instead of trying to fix him or try and like solve this problem, figuring out how, because people would tell me all the time, like, he's going to be so smart, he's going to do all these really cool things when he got older. And I'm like, well, how's he going to do that if I'm not helping him learn why he has these like obsessions or these talents, you know? Yeah. So it's a good perspective shift to hear it from you and how you guys have done that. And don't you feel the same way with Carter, that because he's so gifted, like, that's what causes him to be a little bit busy-minded?
Yes, you know, so he gets bored and fidgety, you know, and starts to act out, or, no, definitely.
Yeah, and that's hard when you're not, I mean, I'm very similar to Connor. I feel like he's a mini-me, but he seriously does not sit still, and it drives me crazy sometimes. And I finally realized he's only getting into trouble because he's so bored. And he doesn't even know to tell me that he's bored. It's just like, what can I do? What can I do? Like, I can't, he has no self-control because he's just so bored. He can't bear the thought of sitting still. And that's why we have way too much TV time in our house, because that's the only time they do sit still.
Isn't that frustrating?
Yeah.
I know. Everybody has those days, so where it's just like, okay, go watch your show. I can't do this anymore. I need a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you guys try and limit the TV time or screen time? Do you think it helps?
We try to, like, especially, well, you know, my kids have tablets. Those, I think, are the problem. Mm-hmm. I can always tell if, like, they've been on it too long, because they seriously get attitude. I don't know what it is. So those are really limited. Like, we give them 20 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's good. You know, TV, we'll let them have like an hour, maybe 2 hours, like on the weekend. It might be a little bit more if we run out of stuff to do. You know what I mean? But, like, we do try and limit it. Like, yeah. But that's so true. I've seen the difference with my kids. They turn into little snots when they have too much screen time. And I'm like, why is this okay? I don't know if it's because they're watching YouTube. I don't let them watch YouTube, but I don't either. They find their way onto the kid YouTube channel, which I should just delete. But Connor's so freaking smart that he can put a password on the iPad. He'll change it, and so then I can't get in. So I know he knows how to download. He's figured out how to download apps, and thankfully he can't buy any. But these kids and their technology, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
It is crazy. So how are your other two kids? Do you see a drastic difference?
Oh, they're all so very, very different. It's amazing. Like, from birth, you know, each one came out a completely different person. Like, Liam's my total sweetheart. He's, and this is so sad, we always call him, he's our normal kid. Like, everything he does is normal. We used to, you know, kind of stress, like, man, did we make Carter weird? Like, did we do something wrong? And then we have Liam to assure us that we didn't, you know, he's different, and that's okay. You know, that's great. So, yeah, Liam's a sweetheart, though. He is always the one to cuddle. He loves to cuddle, you know, and hang out. And he's into, like, all the boy stuff. He loves Star Wars. He loves pirates. You know, he's very more in my level. Uh-huh. You know, I feel like. And then Elliot, oh, my gosh. She's the cutest thing ever.
Yes, she is.
And I might be a little biased, of course.
That's okay. But I agree with you. She's really, really cute.
Oh my gosh, we just love her to pieces. And she is a sweetheart. She's the one she's always concerned about everybody else. Like, if somebody else is upset, she's upset, you know? And she's the first one to go give a hug, or go, like, you know, find a favorite toy to give to them, to do something to make them feel better. It's so cute. And she's totally turning into a girly girl. Lately, she's obsessed with shoes. And pretty shoes. She loves to have her pretty shoes. Like, it's adorable. So she's funny.
I wish you were my neighbor. I guess maybe I need to move to Las Vegas and be neighbors with you and Lauren, because just describing your kids, it's so similar. Parker's not, he's hitting his, like, really busy year. He's 4 now, and he's all over the place. Like, he runs up and down the hall in our apartment, and we're like, we need a backyard. the floor is going to cave in on the people underneath us because of the amount of running he does and jumping off the furniture. So he's really hyper. It's a different hyper than Connor has been, because he's really physically he's just got that boy energy. But yeah, he's definitely our cuddler, definitely a little more like his dad, and Connor's a lot like me. So that's a little different, but Yeah. And that little girl, she's just the icing on the cake. It's so fun to have a daughter after these boys.
I know. It's so funny. I guess, after 5 years of boy stuff, I totally went overboard on the whole pink. I completely didn't intend to.
Mm-hmm.
I had decided on very, not super girly colors. And then, one day, all of a sudden, I looked and her entire room's pink. And frilly and flowers. And I'm just like, oh, man, what's happened to me?
I'm officially a mom of girl.
Yep.
Oh, that's okay.
That's fun.
So I remember years ago, Lauren telling me that you and Luke read to your kids, or maybe it was back when you just had Carter, read to him every single night. Have you guys done that with all the kids?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of nights we'll miss, we're too tired, they're too tired, but we try to every night. Yeah.
That's so cool. Have you always been a reader?
Oh, yes. Big time. Yes, and now we're reading the Harry Potter series, which is a little bit big for them, but they just love it. It's like we'll read a chapter of Harry Potter, can't talk, and then, we'll read a couple of kid books for the little ones. But I feel like it's a good, wind down, relax kind of time. So I like to do that. And
I bet Carter reads super well, right?
He does. Yeah, he reads at a 3rd grade level.
Wow.
Because, why would he be normal? Okay. I know. I'm so scared because he's always asking me questions like, Mom, what's this? And I'll just, kind of make something up or give him the best answer I can. And he'll be like, no, it's this. And I'm like, well, why are you even asking me if you already know?
If you're smarter than me.
Okay. It's not fair.
Oh, you're in for it. He's only is he in 1st grade or kindergarten?
1st grade.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're in for it.
I know. I'm in so much trouble.
That's a good trouble to be in, though. That's a good problem. That's a good thing to have.
It is, definitely.
So cool. So what kind of books do you read? Fiction or nonfiction?
Me?
Yeah.
Personally, fiction. 100%. I don't know.
That was me my whole life up until 5 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, always fiction. And lately it's been more of the nonfiction.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And that's been so weird for me because I always thought nonfiction books were boring, or they were just biographies or, boring stuff. And it's not. It's actually really cool. And I love it so much more than I thought I ever would. But I've totally grown up on fiction and Mary Higgins Clark and murder mysteries and all kinds of weird stuff, which is probably why I'm always waiting for my big murder scene to come. But
I know, right?
It's so crazy how the things you read and the things that you think really shape the reality that you think you live in. People who watch the news a lot, like my mom, who loves the Discovery. What is that? Where they have all the crime shows. There's a whole channel for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's just always telling me these stories about you need to be careful because this can happen. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So you should try a nonfiction every once in a while. I'll send you some good ones.
Okay, do. Yeah. I think I've read one nonfiction outside of school.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like it, but yeah.
It's fun to get absorbed in a story, and it just makes your brain it makes you think a little more creatively, I think, when you can get immersed into a fiction book.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Yes, definitely.
But yes, I'm going to send you. If you haven't listened to podcast episodes, you need to listen to some. Everybody recommends the greatest book. So what are you reading right now for the fiction readers?
It's embarrassing, actually.
Let's hear it.
Right now I'm reading the Outlander series.
Okay. Haven't even heard of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're a little bit romancy novel, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I saw a preview. They made it into a show.
Uh-huh.
on Stars, I think. And I saw a preview for it, and I watched like the first episode, and it said on it that it was based off a book. I'm like, oh, really? So I looked up the book, I read the book, and then I loved the book, and I'm like, I don't like the show anymore. But I got totally hooked onto it. Almost more for like, it's set back in, what is it, like the 1700s?
Mm-hmm.
And in Scotland.
Oh, cool.
You know, and it totally just kind of made me fall in love with like Scotland and history a little bit and stuff.
See, so you're still getting some of your nonfiction in there.
Yeah, you know, a little. Because it does bring in actual things that really happened in history.
Yeah.
You know? So, see, I'm kind of learning something.
Right. And there's your son's love of geography. You were fascinated by a different country.
There you go.
It all came. See, he does get part of it from you. You can't give Luke all the credit.
Yeah.
So cool. So we've talked before on Facebook chat and had days where we're like, no, literally, I want my mom to move in with me because this is so hard.
Oh, yeah.
What's been like you don't have to recall a specific day, but for all the moms who are in those days where you just can't even, like, your eyes are cross-eyed.
Yes.
How have you gotten through those days? Like, how did you figure out that you were capable of just doing it and doing it well?
I wouldn't call it doing it well. I would call it just doing it. And relying on a lot of caffeine and probably the TV a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what we call survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you're still in survival mode?
I have those days, but I think, you know, overall, not so much. But, you know, there's those days when you've had, you know, a few nights of nobody sleeping and you're just trying to stay conscious and make sure everybody is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's focusing on, well, I consider the important things. Fed, alive. Actually, that's probably just it. Fed and alive. Yeah. As long as my kids are fed and alive, we're doing okay.
And all the other days that are even better than that are just like gravy on the potatoes, right?
Yes, exactly.
So another thing I wanted to talk about too is the fact that we have these early rising crazy kids. And Alex, darling, if you're listening to this right now, you are so insanely lucky. Your children wake up at 9 a.m. But Michelle and I are in this alternate universe where children wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Yes. My kids are in here now. But I mean, have you noticed, like, just embracing that too and just knowing that's going to be life right now has made it easier to cope with?
Yep, because I used to fight it. I tried everything. We bought the clock that, you know, turns green when they're supposed to be able to get out of bed. We've done bribing. We've done punishment. We've done anything and everything we could think of to keep them in bed longer. None of it worked. And it's like finally the day I decided, like, this is just how it's going to be. It got so much easier, you know? It's crazy. Just that's life. And maybe when they're teenagers, I will not bank on it. Maybe they'll sleep until 7. That would be awesome.
That's exactly how I feel.
If not, that's okay. Like, you know, kids will be kids. That's just how it's going to be.
I know. I totally feel you. But yeah, I've noticed the same thing. That's why I love that we're reading Miracle Morning on Marvelous Moms Club, because you need to read that one. If you're going to read any nonfiction, read that one. Because it'll help you. That's how I learned to embrace the fact that I have these early rising kids. Yeah. And if I just because for me, it was like, how long can I stay in bed? Let the husband get up with them. That was our routine. Yes. And I feel so bad looking back on that now. That I would stay in bed till like 8:45 and he'd be like, well, I'm leaving for work now. I've been up for 3 hours with the kids. And I'm like, okay, well, you do the mornings and I do the entire day. So it's all fair. But this is so much better. We all thrive because we're all up at the same time. And,
good.
You know, so you just take what you got and you run with it instead of trying to fix it and make it like everybody else's.
Definitely. You know, so.
But that's why I think it's important to have community like this, because when you have a child who's maybe a little more challenging or more energetic or something, you totally look at other people and you're like, oh, I could never even go in public with my child because they would never keep it together in that situation. Or you just feel super alone. I know that I felt that way. Just people would say, oh, my kids are so hard. I'm like, you don't even know. You don't even know what hard is. Like, I'll give you 10 minutes with my son and let's talk about who's got it harder. And it's not a contest, but it's just nice to know that somebody understands. And even today, there's like a feed on the Facebook group. Somebody's just having a really hard time with one of their children. And So that's another reason why I wanted to have you on, just so that everybody knows it's normal to feel that way. It's normal to cry. Yeah. It's seriously normal if you're crying every day, wondering what the heck you're doing.
Yeah.
But there's a silver lining to it, and like you just have to appreciate that the bad days lead to some really good days. And without those lows, you don't get the highs. And honestly, I think what I've really learned the most through doing this and through talking to other moms is like these kids came to us, they were already individuals. They might have come from us, and sometimes they don't even have our genetics, but they were already kind of, I mean, just like us, we came and we already knew who we were going to be, and we're still figuring it out, and trying to take a little of the control away and just nurturing who they are and who they're going to be, which is something that I see you do with Carter. I try. Yeah, you try, and you're doing really well. You need to give yourself more credit, Michelle. Because he could be a really smart kid and be super frustrated if you weren't nurturing the things that he needs to keep excelling and keep learning. So pat yourself on the back a little more than you have been.
Thank you.
Know that other people look at you and marvel because you're doing better than you think. Everybody needs to give themselves credit that they're doing so much better than they think. It is more... It's more than keeping them alive and fed, because I think you're doing a really good job.
They do get the occasional bath, you know.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good to know. So I know this one might be kind of hard to own, but at the end of the day, what do you think makes you a marvelous mom?
Well, I think like my biggest thing is just making sure that my kids know that I love them. Mm-hmm. I say it all the time. You know, I make sure that I hug them. I think through some trial and error with Carter have gotten better at helping them be themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I guess, and also loving that too. So yeah, I think that's sort of my most important thing is just them knowing love and being loved.
That's a really important thing. So good job.
Thanks.
Way to own that. That's an important part of motherhood, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're amazing, and I'm inspired by the things that you do and how hard you're working to be a marvelous mom. And so thank you for talking and sharing that with everyone else. And we got your back.
Oh, good. That's good.
And you can help some of us when we're in the crying days.
There are definitely plenty of those.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. Yeah. I think that's what's wonderful about this group is that on so many other, forums and groups I've been in, it truly is a lot of mom hating, mm-hmm. Everybody having to tear apart everybody else.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that, because we all struggle. And then I think we all start to feel bad about ourselves thinking like everything that we do or are experiencing or everything is wrong when it's not,
mm-hmm.
It's completely normal and we're all going through it and it's okay to admit that to each other, and support each other rather than put each other down all the time.
Yep.
So it's very nice.
It is nice. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's been fun to see it continue to be a positive place and hopefully it will stay that way. I think everybody knows what it's all about, and the more everybody keeps learning what it is about, we won't have those things happen. So
definitely. That's great.
We all need each other. That's for sure. Girls need girls. Moms need other moms. We all need friends.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm glad you're my friend, and I'm glad we can relate in a very different way. It's fun.
Yes, definitely. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Well, thanks for being on here, and the rest of you guys have a great day. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.